Hello, beautiful wildflowers. Thank you so much for coming to watch this video, New Moon Solar Eclipse in Leo. My name is Alejandra. This is Wildflowers Within on YouTube, and I'm super happy to welcome you here. If you are back for more fun, thank you for coming back. And if you are new, and I know there's a few because I saw some new subscribers, I wanted to just say hello. Thank you so much for choosing this channel. I know your time is valuable, and if you're here, I'm thinking it means that you want to live a life that is more devotionally attuned to lunar wisdom, and you're in the right place. So, what I wanted to do is be able to talk a little bit about the nodes of the moon moving into Leo and eclipse, Leo and Aquarius axis, and then a little bit about what happened to me over the weekend, and then go into setting intentions for this new moon. Sound good? All right. Eclipse season, eclipse times. Let's talk about the nodes of the moon super quick so that everybody understands like what is an eclipse, why is it happening, and what are we supposed to be looking out for? The nodes of the moon are, you'll see them on the astrology chart as like an upside down shoe horse or the other way around, or right side up shoe horse. And these aren't actual like physical points in the sky. They're not like planets where you can look up and say like, "Oh, there's the south node. I get it." No, they're invisible. They're markings, they're placement holders. And they're placements for the path of travel of the moon along the path of travel of the sun. So the sun, imagine, is on this racetrack. It's called the ecliptic. And the moon weaves serpentines in and out all the time. And when the moon crosses the ecliptic, it creates what we call a node. So a little invisible marker saying the node, the moon just passed the track, the racetrack of the sun. Why are eclipses a big deal then? Well, the eclipses are the only time when the moon crosses the ecliptic at either its new moon phase or its full moon phase. So it's timed perfectly, like, oh. And this is important. This is the two luminaries coming together at maximum potency. You've got the new moon when it crosses in its new moon phase along the sun. This is all of a sudden like the massive, deep prayer, right? Being seeded into your journey, to your life. And when it is a full moon and all of a sudden it's an eclipse, it is a big harvesting moment. Something is crystallizing, something is taking place. Fruit is being like, shown on the tree of what you have cultivated along your journey. And the moon is associated with karma and fate, the nodes in particular. So eclipses feel like fated moments. And most people think, on the day of the eclipse, what's going on? I have to pay attention just for today. But in reality, it's not like that. Don't be thinking if you don't feel anything on the day of the eclipse that nothing has happened. I would actually call your attention to the weeks leading up to the eclipse, what has been taking place, what has been coming online or coming to some sort of a head or a revelation, something crystallizing or something falling away at this moment and setting you, opening up a new path for you to have as time progresses. So if it doesn't happen anything on the actual eclipse, think of what leads up to it and also what happens after the eclipse. I remember now just coming to me that when I had my spiritual awakening and when I went to Brazil, it was a week after the eclipses along this axis. I'm pretty sure it was along the Leo Aquarius axis. And it completely changed my life, like what was waiting for me. So nothing happened during eclipse season, but like 2 weeks after, all of a sudden I'm in Brazil and I'm suddenly doing a plant medicine journey for the first time that I had no idea was waiting for me, right? So it was this fated karmic moment, and eclipses have this feeling of acceleration. I would say with Uranus and Gemini, we already feel like we're on an accelerated timeline, with AI exploding into, the ethers. And so time feels accelerated. It's even more so around eclipses. So just be on the lookout for that. What has been culminating, what has been taking place or going on in your life because it all has something to do with this eclipse and these next 18 months that the nodes have now changed. And every time they're crossing the ecliptic, it will be in the Leo Aquarius axis. That being said, I want to share a little bit about what happened over the weekend because I thought it was really poetically tying in to something that I wanted to share along this, something that I hadn't thought of actually. I went to this workshop and it was all about calling in the ancestors for your healing work, either as a facilitator to utilize it, in practice, or just to work with your ancestors. And if any of you have done ancestral work, it's so awesome and it's easily like forgotten about, which is crazy because, they're the most tied to our blood and our lineage is our ancestors. And anyway, as we're making introductions, there was co-facilitators asking us to introduce ourselves, where's our lineage from, what type of healer are we, and what's our intention for this workshop. And I thought it was really beautiful. All these different cultures, all these different lineages present, from Africa to Southeast Asia to Mexico to Native American. It was just beautiful to European, all of these cultures were present in the makeup of our ancestry. And when it came time to say how we're a healer, some people, not just me, but others were like, I don't know if I can really say I'm a healer. There's work that I do and people receive healing through that work, but does that make me the healer? Or am I just stepping aside for something, the healing presence that is, divine to come through? And one thing that the one of the co-facilitators said that really struck me, like I hadn't thought of it before. He's like, when you walk into a room, do you realize that you are walking in with your ancestors? And I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I don't know if I've ever thought of it like that, you know? And it's funny how it ties into the astrology is the South Node is currently sitting in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius. And so the South Node, depending on what tradition you follow, modern, Vedic, Hellenistic, essentially the South Node is some sort of a letting go or of a what do we call it, like a diminishing of something that's taking place, a shrinking of something, a lesser presence than. In evolutionary astrology, they see it as like, the past lives that we've lived. So South Node is something about the past, but also the releasing of it, which is interesting when you think about new moons as a time to plant something. So what are we planting? But there's also something that needs to be released at the same time. And with the North Node in Aquarius, what is growing bigger? What is expanding in that sense of when you think of if Leo is the self, then Aquarius is the community. And I thought, how crazy that I've never thought about walking into a room with my ancestors coming along with me. And it felt very much like a releasing of, oh, it's just me in the room, babe, super Leo ego and North Node in Aquarius with Pluto, right? This hidden force coming in to the room. So I thought that was just like fascinating that, oh my gosh, maybe part of my time of these next 18 months of working with Leo and Aquarian energy is the amplification of this invisible presence, of this invisible infrastructure, right? That is my ancestors and my ancestry, my blood lineage to support me and my light, my singular light in the world. So I love, nerding out when the astrology like shows itself and I'm like, oh my God, I get it, and it's nice to attune. This is why knowing where the moon is pointing and especially with eclipses, what's going on is because it's giving little clues and little flavors in your life. So with Leo, our purpose in some way, shape, or form, the purpose of our light is with the South Node there, I think it is a call to remember, right? To shed off a lot of false narratives, a lot of what the shadow of Leo energy can do, right? The one that just wants to be in the spotlight for the sake of the applause, the ego that is so big, the one that thinks it is only me, I'm the only one experiencing it. I am the only person to be the savior of certain whatever, whatever, whatever. Just think of like the most inflated ego you could possibly have. That's the shadow of Leo. And on the other side sits Aquarius, the North Node, pointing to, babe, it's about being with others. It is about community that is going to show us the power to really move ourselves forward. And as I thought about an eclipse and a new moon seed taking place in Leo, not only was it a resetting of our individual purpose, but it made me think of what was the prayer for humanity before humanity even existed. And this is where it gets a little deep and philosophical and spiritual, and I can't help it. Okay. This is me just like riffing and meditating with the stars, asking for some sort of direction. And my teacher used to say Aquarius is like the mind of God. All the blueprints, right? It's an air sign. It's where like the frequency, it's the sound and the light before the matter, before actual matter, before fire, right? Leo is the fire, the light, the spirit of who we are. And what was this Aquarian sort of architecture blueprint prayer for what human beings could possibly do here on Earth? And this is where the duality comes in. This, we have an incredible amount of awesome amazingness that we are here to shine, right? Individually, your purpose, what you're passionate about, what makes you you, that no one else is ever going to have, babe. It is just you and your light, and it is a fixed Leo sign. It is permanent. It will never be exhausted. Even if we get knocked down, even if we get depressed, even if all this stuff comes piling on, our candle of our own inner flame never extinguishes. We carry it through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Our soul can never die. So that being said, now the North Node shifting to Aquarius is all about, okay, we have to do this together. We can no longer think of it as one person here to do it all. And so what does that look like? What is humanity's prayer of what it can be look like when we collaborate and when we work together for something? It's big. It's really big. And another theme when you think about Leo and Aquarius, you think about regime changings, right? It's about like if Leo is this nobility, the royal family, the lineages, the dynasties that exist, and Aquarian is like, no, this is all about us. There's not like this singular powered structure. Then as eclipses are hitting this axis, we're going to start to see the power dynamics of regime changing happening outside. But for you working internally, how is a regime change taking place right now internally? What sort of old leadership style or old, wishes or dreams or what you thought was in the pursuit of, fame, glory, fortune, whatever it is, we just say it. How is that shifting? And how are we all seeing our ability to contribute to the whole is now what is truly needed, right? I think my ancestors are here to help me in this contribution. I believe that working in community, of finding my soul tribe, is because together we are going to be putting together offerings and works of art and beautiful spaces for humanity to remember this inner light. There are so many people that have strayed from this. I mean, let's just keep it real. If you're a billionaire right now in this world, chances are you're not seeing the incredible power that you have to make to change our world for the better. And I'm talking about like the tech bros, pretty much, just these batshit crazy men on like global domination to extract all of our freaking resources, thinking that somehow we're still going to survive. Or maybe we just dump this planet because why not colonize Mars? I mean, it has gone to the level of batshit craziness that I think the South Node in Leo is like, What the heck was that? Shed that off, babe. Babe, we are children of this earth. Our first and foremost responsibility is to our people and our home. Because if we don't have a home to live in, then my God, we're not going to exist anymore. We're not going to be around. There's a deep remembrance that I think is resetting itself. And if you don't know your purpose right now, if you're like more confused than ever, that's okay too. Eclipses don't usually, eclipses are more destabilizing than I would say like clarity. Something could be harvesting and like pointing a direction forward, but you can't really build while there's still an earthquake going on. And that's what eclipses do. Eclipses come to give this earthquake shattering energetic force to break up what is stagnant or to redirect, in some ways, direct your course. So for this new moon seed, and as you are treating the day of the new moon solar eclipse as the day of planting the seed, the safest way, there's a beautiful quote by Richard Rohr that the safest container for power is love. And I believe that that is the power of Leo, right? The heart chakra of who we are as a humanity, as people walking this earth. That the safest place for all the power that we know we have, if it is held within the chamber of your heart, a pure-hearted intention, then we're going to be great. We're going to move forward in amazing, awesome ways. We are going to think about how can we incorporate green technology to support all this AI explosion? Is it really that hard? I know I'm not the person that could think of the green technology, but I know there's lots of people that could do it, and if we collaborate and the hive mind starts to come together, then this is what's possible for us. So I know it sounds a little like I think Mercury just entered Leo, so it's like, Mercury taking up the mic. I feel like that's the transition coming through. But that's what I see for this new moon. I think it is a time for us to remember, what did God wish for humanity before we were even created? What did God see? And when I say God, you can think Divine Mother, Father, Spirit, Creator, Creatrix, Source, and Spirit of all existence. How did you see our highest expression, being able to walk and live and breathe this beautiful earth and home? What is our true capacity? And so the dance right now is simplify the truth of your light, right? Let go of all the extra, all the extra. I'm actually not going to do comedy at the end of this because I thought, all right, we're just going to be simple about this. South Node Leo, I'm not going to be, doing some sort of skit at the end. Can I be okay with that? Yeah, I can. And I'm going to continue to sit in my heart space, looking for clues to what I feel is my continued purpose of how I'd like to live my life, how I'd like to be someone who comes in to help break open heaven on earth. That is the time, I think. That's the timeline I'm living on. And I hope that's one for you too. I think if you're watching this video, it is. So if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to write them in the thing. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And yeah, if you know what house this sits in, or if there's anything coming up that you feel like is in your field, what does the South Node in Leo mean for you? What does the North Node in Aquarius mean to you? So I send you love. I send you blessings. I hope you have a wonderful eclipse season. Take it easy. Be very mindful on the actual day of the eclipse on the 12th of August, and just set that space, right? Power, safest container for power is love. So I love you very much. And I am so happy to co-create our new moon prayers and this energetic garden alongside all of you. Thank you so much, queridos. Take care.